Okay, so for all of that action, we're joined now by James Gerrish. James, so great to have you on board this afternoon. Going to chat a few different stocks at the moment. First and foremost, a bit of a check on Whitehaven Coal.
Yeah, g'day, Kyle. It was an interesting announcement from Whitehaven today, Coal today. Not unexpected, just around they're going to seek shareholder approval at the AGM to buy back more shares. They're nearly at the end of their current buyback. They've bought about 9% of the shares back. They had a 10% limit. They're going back to shareholders to say, can we buy back up to 25% of shares. So, the quantum of that buyback is probably bigger than the market expected, and that's why the shares are rallying today. So it's a lot of shares. It's about 240 million shares if they get approval for it over the next 12 months. You break that down, it's about 20 million shares a month or a million shares a day for a stock that does about 14 million shares a day. So it's significant.
Just in terms of that decision by the company, I mean, is that just a reflection of the fact, one, obviously coal price has been elevated, they're just sitting on a stack of cash, but also, I mean, no dirty energy business, and I put that in quotation marks, wants to really make any major investments in the long-term future, so you're just returning the capital?
Yeah, I guess it's a good question. In terms of buying back shares, you then get a bump in all your per share metrics. So that's a positive for shareholders who continue to hold the stock. So it sort of keeps you invested in the space. I mean they've got to go out there and think about the longevity of their company from here. So they'll go back and they've probably got some more shares to buy back, but then they've got to think longer term. So I wouldn't be surprised if Whitehaven goes out there and makes some acquisitions. They've alluded to the fact that they may do so in the coming years. So I think that'll be on the table. In the near term, they're just simply printing so much cash that share buybacks the quickest and most efficient way of getting that back to shareholders. And of course, they didn't have franking credits on their balance sheet before. They are paying tax now, so they'll be able to pay higher fully franked dividends going forward as well.
Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. Just in terms of the next stock we're going to look at, which is Vive, we were just talking about that before off the top in terms of the acquisition there of Coles convenience stations or petrol stations or what have you. What do you make of that development?
Yeah, it looks like a reasonable acquisition for VEA, of course, just taking over the Coles Express business. It's going to be earnings accretive, which is always a positive, something to the tune of 11 to 18%. So that's going to be a good win. You think about the VEA business more collectively, they've obviously had, when we were not driving our cars, they obviously struggled to sell fuel and other convenience goods. That has turned around and they're getting, they're selling a lot of fuel. Their refining margins are strong, and now this convenience sales are pretty strong. So they're going to be the biggest. They're going to have the biggest footprint in fuel and convenience sales in Australia. So, there's some concern around the longevity of that sort of business model. But it's priced on 7 to 8 times earnings. It's going to yield about 5%. So it's a bit of a boring stock, but it's it's up about 17% year to date. So it's certainly outperformed the market.
Yeah, well, sometimes boring is beautiful. That's what I like to tell my girlfriend anyway. But just in terms of the next,
Sure, it works for you, Kyle.
yeah, so far so good. But just in terms of the next stock to look at, just Pilbara, one that's really seen a bit of a run up in price recently, and also a good auction yesterday.
Yeah, big run up in price for Pilbara and other lithium companies, but probably more so in terms of PLS. They do this thing where they offer, they auction some of their spodumene concentrate onto an exchange to get, to improve the transparency around pricing, give the market sort of a yardstick around what the pricing is going to be. This auction is the eighth that they've done. It was up 2.5% on auction number 7. It's a couple of percent off the all-time highs that they're getting, but it's still a very strong number, around 7,000 US a ton. So that's a big positive read through for Pilbara. It's a positive read through for the lithium stocks, and this has been a sector on fire, and that's why we're seeing PLS trade to all-time highs above $5 a share today.